This is Cape Breton Accents,
I've been here for like 5 years. It just feels like home away from home.
a podcast hosted by CBU President David Dingwall that celebrates the stories and perspectives that make our community so vibrant and unique.
Yeah, because it's important that students take part in extracurricular activities.
From campus life to global impact, we're excited to share the stories that define Cape Breton University.
CBU is family, and you're going to love every minute of it.
Welcome to the Cape Breton Accents podcast. I'm your host, David Dingwall, President and Vice Chancellor of Cape Breton University. Today we are pleased to be joined by Cynthia Vokey, Director of the MBA and graduate programs within the Shannon School of Business. Recently, our three newest master programs, the Master of Artificial Intelligence and Business Analytics, the Master of Digital Marketing, and the Master of Healthcare Leadership and Innovation have been opened and will welcome their first intake of students this coming September. Cynthia, thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to getting some more information out about these brand new master's programs. So thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us, if you don't mind, what your role is as the director of the MBA graduate programs.
Absolutely. So my role as the director of the MBA Community Economic Development and our other graduate programs in the Shannon School of Business really encompasses two components. My role focuses on the overall student experience of students in our graduate programs in the Shannon School of Business, and also on program development, program innovation. So when we look at the overall student experience, it's really supporting our students from the time of onboarding or the time that they're interested in a program until the time of graduation, and working closely with our faculty in the Shannon School of Business, our staff, as well as staff in our supporting units across campus to ensure that they're receiving the necessary tools and the supports that they need to have a good student experience at CBU.
Can we talk for a few moments about the Master of Business Administration and Community Economic Development? That's a big seller.
It is.
There's a lot of interest because it is not your traditional MBA. It's a Master's in Community Economic Development, which I think more and more people are finding it more interesting than the MBA. Could you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's a one-of-a-kind program, as you mentioned, with the focus in community economic development. We're very fortunate that our program is very unique, even in its way of offering. So we have a cohort of students here that study on campus, but we also run our program further afar as well across the country. So we have students studying in Alberta, in Ontario, and in a number of provinces. So it's a very unique way of offering our program. We have a blend of in-person courses that happen in other provinces and also online offerings as well. So we're very proud of our program. Last year it just celebrated its 25th anniversary. So we have a number of alumni that are doing fantastic things, specifically in the realm of community economic development across the country and further abroad as well.
Tell us about the Master of Artificial Intelligence and Business Analytics.
So we're really excited about this program because, AI is talked about everywhere today. So this program is really geared for students who are interested in taking raw data and turning it into different insights and being able to make those data-driven decisions for an organization. So students are going to be studying a number of different things in this program, but they're looking at data management, they're looking at things like machine learning, advanced statistics as part of the program. So ultimately, when students graduate from this program, they're going to be able to lead and develop those data-driven decisions or strategies for an organization. And certainly that's something that's needed right now, and a lot of organizations are looking for that.
So in terms of artificial intelligence, what do you need to gain entrance into the master's program? Do you have to have an undergraduate degree in artificial intelligence, or?
No, not necessarily. So, I mean, we look at every single application. We have students who, meet the minimum requirements for a program. Statistics is one of those areas that we certainly do look at as part of entry into the program, because the program is so focused on advanced statistics. We want to be able to set our students up for success coming into the program. Now, there may be students as well who we consider non-traditional entry. So perhaps they don't have an undergraduate degree, but perhaps they've got 20 years worth of work experience in a certain sector that may be pertinent to them pursue a Master's of Artificial Intelligence and Business Analytics. So we really look at it case by case.
Good. And that will be taught on the campus?
That's correct, yes. All 3 of our new master's programs are taught on campus, which is slightly different than our MBA CED program, which is taught on campus, but also has our cohort model as well.
And by the way, and you would know more than most, we've got a number of faculty that are well equipped in terms of artificial intelligence. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I mean, so we have faculty who developed this program. This is their area of expertise, and I think what's really nice for students is any student coming into these new master's programs, and we'll talk about the AI program right now, but they're going to experience faculty who not only have the academic background, but they also have the real world experience as well. So being able to marry those 2 areas is certainly important for the overall student experience and fully preparing them to eventually enter the workforce in that area.
Let's talk, if we can, for a few moments about the Masters of Digital Marketing. What does that entail, and what has been the interest thus far? I know it's early on in the process, but tell us a little bit about the Masters of Digital Marketing.
Certainly. So the Masters of Digital Marketing follows a similar format and timeline as our other new master's programs that we're introducing.
How many months is this?
16 months.
16 months from
start to finish.
Start to finish.
Correct, yes. And it's positioned right now as full-time study. So in order for students to complete it within the 16 months, then they have to take, the certain number of courses to fulfill full-time study. But the digital marketing program is really geared for students who have an interest in digital strategy, perhaps social media. They're looking at digital advertising. A number of the areas that they're going to study within the program are going to be things like web analytics, being able to build campaigns and digital campaigns, and not just building the campaigns or creating the campaigns, but then also looking at the data from those campaigns, analyzing that data, and then being able to optimize what needs to be done from that. So what needs to perhaps be tweaked to meet that target audience of their product or their organization, whatever they're trying to promote. So it's a really, really interesting program, and it's something that I think is, the way of the future, right? When you look at any type of advertising now or marketing, I mean, everything is digital, so.
Lastly, tell us a little bit about the Masters of Healthcare Leadership and Innovation. That's a 16-month program?
Correct.
And what does that entail?
So this program is geared for students who are looking to hold leadership roles in the very complex and evolving healthcare systems. So students in this program are going to study things like governance and policy and leadership and working in healthcare organizations. What role does technology play in patient care and, changing strategies and kind of the overview of the work that's being done in the healthcare system. So that this program will prepare students to eventually go out into the workforce and to lead in these organizations and make a positive impact and meaningful change in healthcare.
I would think that if anyone is involved in the healthcare sector, this is certainly a program that you would want to have. I remember my days as Canada's healthcare minister, and you could hear in the voices of public policymakers the concerns that they had from the human resource, the efficiency or the lack of efficiency, professional development for different individuals. And of course, the most important thing is providing high quality service to the clientele.
Absolutely. And I think that the interest that we've gotten so far in this program is exactly that. It's people who are working in the healthcare system currently and want to make a change. So we're getting emails and phone calls from nurses, from people who work in technology and in some of the different tech areas within the hospital, and then also those who are perhaps in a leadership role within the organization, but want to advance further or just want to learn more as to how they can continue to make a positive impact.
Just get your comment. I've found that persons who embark upon a master's degree take a little bit more time in deciding, in looking, in examining what the course is going to be. If it's 16 months, okay, what does that mean, et cetera, et cetera. Am I correct in that?
Yes, it's different than an undergraduate degree because these people are likely at a different point in their lives. They've likely been out working for a number of years. Perhaps they have family, different life commitments. A master's degree also from a financial standpoint is a larger investment. So students are often looking at that. Can I do this right now? Am I able to do it? The time commitment. If you're working full time, how am I going to be able to complete my studies? So it is something that takes a little more nurturing. You may have a student that's interested in a master's program, and it's not necessarily as cut and dry as say an undergraduate student looking to come in.
Would those same characteristics be for the entire 3 programs?
Yes, I think across the board for any master's program, whether it be, our MBA program, our education programs, or our new programs in the Shannon School of Business, it's a big decision for people to pursue a master's degree. Like I mentioned, it's a big investment in both time and money. So they want to ensure that they are the right fit for the program and that it's going to prepare them for the type of work that they're hoping to do.
Anything come to mind in terms of the kind of students that would be looking at any of these particular programs? Is there a certain student that we're trying to corner the market on, or?
Mm-hmm. These are advanced programs, and so we need to have students entering who are motivated, they're curious, they have an interest in learning more and learning differently, I think. And one thing that differentiates us, and certainly it will be the same for these new master's programs, is that we have such a diverse student body. And so they're not just learning from their professors, they're learning from their classmates, the different walks of life, the perspectives. And so I think that all comes back to wanting to learn differently, and they'll certainly gain that experience in the classrooms in these new programs. You
referenced the faculty earlier, but elaborate a little bit more in terms of the kind of faculty that we would have at CBU for these master's programs. I know, for instance, that I've met with a number of the AI professors, whether it was in health, whether it was in logistics, whatever. But elaborate a little bit more in terms of the faculty and their capability, and also their interest in teaching this kind of material.
Our faculty are so passionate about what they teach, and that certainly comes across in the classroom. We are so fortunate at CBU, and specifically the Shannon School of Business, talking about the new programs here today, that they are open, they're willing to meet with students on a regular basis. They want to see their students succeed. They're going to help them through that entire student life cycle, that entire student experience. And they bring, as I mentioned before, that level of academic expertise, but then they also have that real world experience. And they want to help plan that future for that student, not just personally, but professionally. They want to see them succeed. They want to see them enter the workforce fully prepared, and they're there to support them along their journey and all of the ups and downs that come with it.
So before we close off, what sort of questions are you getting from prospective students? I'm sure it's a smorgasbord type of question. Where do I live? What do I do?
It is. Yes, certainly. So we're getting lots of questions, different based if they're an international student or perhaps if they're a Canadian student looking to enter. So we're getting a little bit of everything. They're looking for more information about the programs, information on housing, information on tuition, information on, next steps and application and registration. What's really interesting and for these master's programs is that, back to our earlier point, it's a big investment. So they have very specific questions, even around the content of what's covered in their courses, because they want to know, perhaps maybe they're already working in this field, so they want to be able to build on what they already know. It's a little different than undergrad, where they're looking at those specific courses within the program and saying, okay, well, what am I actually studying in this course? What am I actually studying in this course? And that's where my role is to then connect them with program leads, with faculty at that point, who are the experts in that area and can give them more insight as to this is exactly what's going to be covered in that specific course.
Final question. You're a student, you're out there, you see this podcast for the first time. What should they do? How do they contact you? How do they get in touch with you to get more information, whether it be online, hard copy, whatever? How do we do that?
So the first place I would recommend students to go is to our website. They can find more information about each of the programs. So if they go to cbu.ca and then they click on academic programs, from there they can find the breakdown of the 3 programs. All of the information will be there on each of the program pages, but then also at the bottom is a list of contacts. So my contact information is listed there, along with faculty members in each of the program. And then we have a general email address as well for graduate studies in the Shannon School of Business. So it's ssobgradstudies@cbu.ca. Students can go there, they can send an email, and then we will take a look at their inquiry and figure out who they need to speak with next about where they are in their journey. As you mentioned earlier, applications are open, so students can certainly apply. We're here if they need support through that application process, and then if they've already applied and they've been accepted, then we'll be in touch very soon with registration information, what courses they need to take as part of their program, and ensure that they have a smooth transition coming into CBU.
Well, look, thank you for this very informative piece of information on these master's programs. I hope that perhaps a little later in the summer, before September, that you could come back again and maybe share some more information with us on these master's programs, and to make sure that people out there that are watching will take advantage of this. So
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Good.